The video I'm going to put on after this is of two people talking and one just not letting the other one lie about Donald Trump's reprehensible behavior. It's quite entertaining. It's a little bit over 3 minutes long.
But
what
I'm
are you wild
open-minded.
about? What are you wild about? Not Trump?
Here's what I'm wild about. I'm wild about a democracy that works. I'm wild about the rich history of our country continuing for the future. I'm wild about opponents having a voice and having a seat at the table, as opposed to being thrown in jail or hunted down by our military. That's what I'm wild about.
But we might throw Trump in jail. The Justice Department was not weaponized under Trump. It's been weaponized under the current administration, right?
So we'll stop right there. And this is where Andrew Ross Sorkin, his more liberal co-host, will fact check him at the end. But I just want to say for context, Governor Murphy is referring to comments, persistent, frequent comments by Donald Trump that his opponents, that his critics, that people who vote against him, that don't support him, are the enemies within. That is a phrase that Donald Trump has repeatedly used. And his allies at the Fox Propaganda Network and other places have begged him to stop using these phrases and have given him multiple off-ramps in interviews, basically serving him up an opportunity to walk back the comments or to reinterpret the comments, because, of course, Trump is graded on a curve. So all Trump has to say is, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't referring to, Democrats or anything like that. I was referring to radical left protesters or whatever. Instead, he doubles down on the comments every damn time. And he puts Trump supporters like J.D. Vance or Joe Kernan in the awkward position of either having to defend those comments or simply ignore them. Vance tries to spin and defend the comments. Joe Kernan is actually sidestepping them altogether. And he's like, well, what about the Biden Justice Department?
I mean, Joe, come on. You got to be kidding me.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't seen Trump. I haven't seen Trump throw anyone in jail, but I have seen a lot of lawfare against Trump.
There's no rational viewer right now watching this discussion that thinks that Harris is the authoritarian threat versus Trump. There's no one who's reasonable who comes down in that conclusion. How could you?
You just look around. I mean, you want me to go over the 5 cases that we're talking about? Alvin Bragg, you want me to? Those were all misdemeanors trumped up to felonies after the statute of limitations. You don't think that's lawfare?
Alvin Bragg doesn't work. Alvin Bragg doesn't work for Kamala Harris, and you and I both know that.
Okay, I'm talking about if either candidate is in danger of using the Justice Department to punish his enemies. What we've seen recently is not from Trump doing it. I mean, is there some reason you think that's going to happen with him? It's his rhetoric?
So notice Joe Kernan, I assume, is not a stupid guy, right? And he's an aggressive interviewer, and he has, moments of lucidity and poise, but you see how he's stammering and he's uncomfortable. And he's because he actually can't defend the proposition that he's proposing. He really can't. And even the question that that he asks there at the end, which is what, just because Donald Trump says he's going to go after his opponents, what, you believe him? Either Donald Trump means what he says, in which case he's an authoritarian, or Donald Trump doesn't mean what he saying, in which case he's a liar who is spreading authoritarian lies. Either way, Joe, it's bad for your candidate. There's no reasonable defense. Both of those options which you are presenting are bad for Trump, at least to an honest broker. He's either a liar who will peddle authoritarian lies to rally his base. That's still really, really, really bad. Or he fully intends to weaponize the Justice Department against his political opponents because he said so. That is also really, really bad. There is no good option for Trump. Trump is morally inferior by both options that Joe Kernan is effectively laying out.
Joe, I'm having a hard time believing we're having this conversation. Are you kidding me? Did you see what happened on Sunday in Madison Square Garden? Have you followed what he said about what he's going to do against his enemies?
What Joe Biden said last night that all the Trump supporters are garbage, and that wasn't a joke. That was the president, sitting president of the United States, and that wasn't some comedian that no one knew what he was going to say. That was Biden himself. Did you see that? Trump supporters are garbage?
I saw it, and And he said specifically it was about the people who were in Madison Square Garden. And you and I both know that that's what he
So
said.
they
after.
were garbage. Okay.
Governor.
So specifically, President Biden was referring to